evening and welcome to the Bella Vista Radio Club's March 2021 virtual meeting. My name is Tom. My call sign is Whiskey 5 X-Ray November Alpha W5XNA, and I am the current president of the Bella Vista Radio Club. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope that you and your family are healthy and doing well. There is still no timeline for resuming on-site club meetings, and we will do so only when we can meet the state's guidelines. However, VE testing has resumed and at a new location. Thanks to Ryan Wolf, KE0CZQ, we have been testing at the Harps Food Store's corporate office located at 918 Newton Zone Road in Springdale at 2 p.m. on the second Saturday of each month. The next testing session will be March 13th. Due to the current COVID-19 restrictions, we have to limit the number of people in the exam room at any given time. So we are requesting that folks register in advance so we know how many to expect and possibly give you an estimated time for your test. We will test everyone who shows up. So if you're planning on attending our March 13th session, please contact Don Cooper, KC7DC, the BVRC License Testing Coordinator at KC7DC at ARRL.net. The results from the February 13th, 2021 BVRC VE testing is as follows. We had 19 candidates and 5 VEs brave the frigid temperatures. 12 new technicians, including 2 ILs, 4 upgraded to general, and 2 upgraded to extra. And BVRC has had 9 new members in the past 2.5 weeks. And the VEs on hand to administer the test were Don, KC7DC, Ryan, KE0CZQ, Glenn, WB5L, Mark, K5XH, and myself. And congratulations to all. Also, we might be looking at a particular venue for a new technician class that would allow for social distancing and conform to our state's guidelines. But this is in the very initial stages, and I'm going to be going out to the facility during spring break and check it out. And from what I hear, it sounds very promising. If you notice a little bit of arm movement and jiggling, I'm trying to keep the size of the videos down so they're easier to send and easier for Wayne to get them. Thanks to the kind offer by John Williams, K5DBT, we will be able to continue the Wednesday night tradition of meeting on the air at 2100 hours local time using his Skywarn repeaters. And so the wide area net will continue and has been continuing the last couple of weeks. Information on accessing the repeaters are as follows. The Fayetteville repeater is 147.315, positive offset and a tone of 97.4. And the Green Forest repeater is 145.310, negative offset, tone of 103.5. And I would like to welcome the newest members of BVRC. Dr. Nick Gianos, Kilo India 5, November Zulu Zulu. He passed his tech and general a couple of weeks ago on the VE session that I was just talking about. Craig Hines, Kilo India 5, November Zulu Uniform, new technician. Don Wright, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Delta Romeo Zulu, upgraded to general. John Snyder, Kilo India 5, November Zulu Tango, is a new technician. Robert Hill, Kilo India 5, November Zulu uniform, new tech. John Baker, N5, Delta Delta Zulu, and John is a new member. John Ellis, Kilo 4, Sierra Hotel. Stacy McCullough, Kilo India 5, Lima X-Ray Charlie, and a member that doesn't really want his name published, and I want to respect that and appreciate his membership. And current members, Bob Moore, Kilo India 5, November Zulu Quebec, a new tech, and Ron Nev, Kilo India 5, Kilo Delta uniform. He upgraded to extra. Congratulations to everyone, and thank you for your membership. And that brings the Bella Vista Radio Club's membership to 138 members. This evening, we will have two presentations. One of these presentations will feature Don Allman. Don is 87 years young. He is a U.S. Navy vet and retired from IBM after 35 years. Mark Watley, K5XH, and I went to Don's QTH to see his antique teletype machine and learn about his history with the teletype. We had a really nice afternoon, and we made a new friend for sure. Don is a wonderful man, great sense of humor, sharp as a tack, and he's planning on donating that teletype machine to a local museum. As a bonus, you're going to get to see his fully restored 1930 Model A Ford. It's beautiful. The second presentation came about from Mark, K5XH, and his decades-old interest and participation in RITI. I finally figured out that if Mark enjoyed RITI contesting, perhaps there's something to it. So he invited me to his QTH last Saturday for the NAQP contest, the RITI contest, North American QSO Party contest. And he was going to show me the ropes and how to operate and get my digital feet wet. And after a learning curve, I was contesting in RITI, with RITI in both running and search and pounce. I believe the final QSO total was around 340 between the two of us. Not nearly what Mark would be doing on his own, operating single operator 2 radios, but I appreciate the Elmering and look forward to also operating in the RTTY contests in the future. Thanks again for joining us this evening. It is time now to sit back, enjoy, and learn. Please let us know that you are here by checking in on the chat.
I graduated from high school in the spring of '52, and in October the work situation where I lived was so bad I couldn't find work, so I went into the Navy in October of 1952. I eventually became interested in the teletype machines in the Radio Shack in the ship, and I borrowed the maintenance books from the repairman that was on the ship, and I learned as much as I could about it, teletype operation. And I had the officer I worked for request teletype maintenance school in San Diego. I think that was 1953, 20-week. And we were trained on the Model 15, 14, 28, tape readers, tape punch, the whole accessories equipment. First ship I was assigned to as a repairman was a converted LST, which was converted to a supply ship, and we only had one Model 15 aboard, but other than being a repairman, as a teleman, the other operation was I had to be postal clerk. And the post office was a little cage down in the deck, storage deck, about 4 feet wide. And the teleman rating only lasted 4 years, and then it was converted to radioman. And the reason for that was that teletypes were seeing their day and being replaced by other stuff. Also, Navy wanted to have their own postal clerk rating, because the post office rules were such, whoever was in the military as a postal clerk had to be paid civilian postal clerk wages, and the Navy didn't like that. So they made up their own rating for teletype repairman, postal clerk, which was a teleman. And when I was discharged, after 4 years, I was discharged as a second-class teleman. When I got out of the service, I got a job at a Army signal depot in Decatur, Illinois, repairing teletypes. And that was just a desk job, and I didn't like it, so I interviewed with IBM. They sent me to Rochester, New York for basic school. I think it was 6 weeks. And I worked in the Chicago area as an IBM repairman for about 6 years. I transferred to the Springfield, Illinois office and worked there for another 12 or 15 years. I started losing my hearing, so then I was able to find a job at our new plant in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that plant closed after 5 years, so I transferred to the Austin, Texas plant, and I worked there until December of '91. I had 35 years, and I decided to retire at that point. We moved to Rogers, Arkansas, because we had left a son in Austin, Texas, a daughter in St. Louis, 2 sons in North Carolina, and we thought this would be a little more centrally located. So we have been here since April of 1992, and we love it. Wonderful neighbors, a great place to live.
Well, we thank you for your service, and we thank you for showing us around your QTH, and also your generous donation to one of the museums in this area, we're hoping. And it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your hospitality, and thank you for your service.
Well, I thank you, sir, for saying those words. This side. Okay, well, anyway, this is Henrietta, 1930 Model A, 45 horsepower. Costs $475 new. Of course, I didn't pay that. I paid 15 big ones. But it was restored when I bought it. This guy here, our Model A club in Rogers, built a demonstration for the Rogers Historical Museum. We had a restored Model A engine on a big cart with iron wheels, rolled it in, and the visitors were able to crank the engine to pretend they were starting it. And that's the procedure to crank it, and that's me down there because it was my car. If you want, I can set that up on something. If you notice how he's holding the crank, that's the correct way to do it. If you put your hand around the crank and it kicks back, then you got a broken thumb. So you always put the thumb on the other side of that crank handle. These are the last 2 of 8 I restored. These are Maytag engines. Okay. And they put those in the washing machine before rural electricity came through for the farmers. Yeah. And they put those on the washing machine so that their wives could, kick that lever, get the engine started, and run the flows through it. This is a single cylinder.
Yeah.
And it's 3/4 of a horse, and this is a double cylinder, a newer one, and it's just a half a horse.
Wow.
This particular one was built in Maytag. I think it was in Iowa where their shop was. But anyway, they were in World War II production until the Japanese surrendered, which would be August of 45.
Right.
So this was made in September of 45 when they went back into things for civilians, civilian production. We built engine in it 2 years ago. That was $500. But I had a cracked head and it couldn't be repaired. That's the gas filter. The gas tank up here is gravity fed, filtered here, and it goes into the carburetor. There's non-pressurized water system, and this is the heat indicator of your water. You look out the windshield and watch for the red thermometer to come up on you. Use it. In other words, I restored this once I got it to stop in Indiana and hauled it home. That's made from junk stuff in my garage, just a control panel.
So what is this machine? What make and model?
This is Teletype Corporation Model 28.
And
It's probably Korean War time frame on it. I had everything working for it. To show you guys, I had about 8 ribbons, and I couldn't get any of them activated. So I found a place on Amazon that sold them, and they're just regular typewriter ribbons. And so I was able to put a new ribbon on it.
And rolls of paper are pretty scarce these days, too.
Yeah. I have a roll of paper and a roll of tape that go in some books. That goes, whoever wants to accept my donation on that.
Well, I had for use in amateur radio operation back years ago.
Yes.
I was in the military for a while in Fort Sheridan, Illinois,
Okay.
Chicago area.
I worked up there
And
for
a guy
7
from
years.
I had done a favor for a guy that worked over in the teletype shop. And now, mind you, I'd always been interested in teletype. Before I went into the Army, we set up the University of Arkansas. They had a Model 28 KSR. They had a Model 14 TD, and which is one of those. And they had a typing reperf, I think, to make the tapes with. Nobody had ever used it. It was donated to them by the Teletype Corporation. So I got interested in it, and we actually set it up and got it on the air as a transmitter receiver for radio teletype. First time, to my knowledge, it was the first time anybody ever actually used it up there. So that was my introduction into teletype.
To teletype.
And that was in the 60s, and I've had an interest in it ever since. And over the years, I've had a lot of teletype stuff. And the guy that I did the favor for when I was in the military called me up one day, and he said, "Hey," he said, "I got something for you." So I went over there, and he gave me a Model 15.
The old typewriter guy.
Yeah, it looked like a typewriter. And he gave me a TD and a typing reperf.
Super.
And I brought it all home, and I had it all set up and working there for a while, and honestly, I could kick myself, I threw it all away. And, you know, nowadays it's all computerized.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, even the amateur radio stuff is all, you know, you don't need all of this stuff. And,
Yeah, there's hundreds and hundreds of individual parts in that thing.
Yeah.
In fact, when I got trained in the Navy in 53 on servicing these, then when I got out of the Navy, lo and behold, IBM transferred me up to the Chicago area, and one of my customers was Teletype Corporation, and I was able to go in and work on their old equipment they had there. But then they shut down because the demand for mechanical stuff was replaced by, you know, newer technology.
Yeah.
And I think they even had a plant in Little Rock.
They did.
Okay.
They sure did.
Yeah.
I've been down there to that plant
Oh.
for some reason a long time ago, and they were making the newer stuff, the plastic stuff, the Model 32s and 33s.
Yeah.
That's the newer, the last ones of the mechanical type equipment that they built, and they also made a printer called Model 40, which was a unique thing. When I was in the computer business after I got out of the military, that's what we used for our line printer. Was a teletype Model 40. And there's a carriage return, and there's a separate line fee. And you'll notice right here, when we were running that tape, because I restarted it back in the middle, see where it typed a whole bunch of characters in this one little spot right here, because it had gone down here to the end, and it never got a carriage return or a line fee. That's referred to as a black box for obvious reasons. So in the old machines, you had a carriage return which moved the carriage back. You also had a line feed which picked the line up. If you type all the way down here at the end and you don't give it a carriage return or a line feed, then you get this multiple strike in one little spot right here. So it's not as automatic as you might think it is. The other thing is that this is a 5-bit code which only allows 32 possibilities. So you got 26 letters in the alphabet, you got some numbers, you got punctuation, you got these special characters here. So what you have to do is there's also a letters and a figures shift, which is right here. So if you're going to be typing letters, you enter letters, and now when you type a letter, you get letters. If you hit figures and hit the Q up here, you get a 1, not a Q. So you got to go back to letters again in order to get a Q back. So what you see a lot of times is guys will send, they'll go into the figure shift, they'll send 5, 9, 9. They'll hit a space, that puts them back in the letters mode, and the next thing you see is 5, 9, 9. You see TOO. Well, that's really 599, but it's in the wrong shift. So teletype's quite a bit different from the ASCII code, which has got 8 levels, so you can get a lot more characters in. But that's the way it used to work, guys. That was an actual, honest-to-God, mechanical teletype machine. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, sir.
And you set it so that the white dots are not moving.
Yep.
Then you're at the perfect speed to send the tape to whatever the other
I forgot
synchronous
about that.
motors are.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah. One of the bugs they put on in teletype school, and I missed that one myself, the instructor stuck a pencil lead down between one of the pair of segments and broke it off flush.
Oh, yeah.
And then we ran the tape and it was printing
Garbage.
garbage. And I never did figure that one out.
Oh, I see.
And that's how things used to work. That's how you can cue this tape up. And it's got a sprocket hole in the middle, and then it's got a spot here for 5 punches to be gone out of the middle of it, and that's what makes up the characters. So if we start it over here,
We are at the QTH of Mark Watley, K5XH, and we are working the North American QSO party, RIDI. And Mark was kind enough to invite me over to learn how to operate RIDI. And so we've been operating for a couple hours. It started at noon Saturday, and it goes until midnight tonight. And it takes a little bit getting used to, but once you follow all the steps, it's fun. And Mark has his, we're monitoring two frequencies, 40 and 20. And he's got the pan adapter. And we're set up for single operator, 2 radios. And we just made our 100th QSO. And once we make the final exchange, it goes right into the log. Mark is operating with a flex radio.
We run out of paper to work. That's not going to hear me. that came along and took my CQ frequency away. But what I was saying is that the key to being able to do a sort of SO2R, single operator 2 radio, is that you need either bandpass filters or you need widely separated antennas, one or the other. And I don't. I have the 20 meter antenna and the 40 meter antenna are actually on the same tower, so they're very close together. So I have transmit filters for 40 and I have one for 20, also have one for 80 and 15 as well. That allows me to transmit on 40 meters here and not interfere with what's going on down here on 20 meters. Normally you couldn't do that because as soon as you started transmitting on 40, you would probably overload or cause a lot of racket in your 20 meter radio. So you have to have bandpass filters. The other thing is we're running low power in this particular little contest, but if you're running high power and you've got a transmit antenna that's 5 feet away from your receiving antenna and you're running a kilowatt or more, you run some risk of damaging your equipment. So if you're going to try this, you either need widely separated antennas or you need to invest in some bandpass filters, one or the other. So that's my little SO2R story. You may take out of that whatever you choose. It works for me, guys. That's all I can say. Yes, but
So what's going on with the programs?
okay. Got the Flex radio, obviously. If that's this screen over here. The radio's back over there in the corner. It's all run by the computer, obviously. But the rest of this stuff is all third-party software. Basically, we have N1MM, which is the main program that you see running here, which is basically this box up here and this box up here, and also the log and stuff that's on the other screen over here. But then integrated into that are these digital windows. There's one here and one here. This one's on 40 meters right now. This one's on 20 meters right now. And in this little group of stuff, the main decoder that is decoding the audio RTTY signals is MMTTY, written by a Japanese individual that does a really good job. But also, I'm also running 2 other decoders at the same time on the same audio that's coming out of the radio. I'm running a product called two-tone, which is just another type of RTTY demodulator. And I'm also running a third one called Gritty, which is another one that somebody wrote, all written by different people. But N1MM allows you to run all of those at one time. So actually, there are 6 RTTY demodulators going on this screen right now, 3 over here and 3 over here. So it's not all N1MM, it's that somebody has taken the time to integrate all of these neat things into N1MM, and it really makes things pretty nice. The cross tuning indicator, like this one right here, if I could find a signal right quick, is a sort of a reproduction of the way the old tuning indicators used to use on the old-fashioned RTTY stuff, where you had what they call a cross display, and that's what that is. Whenever you get it so it looks like a cross with the 2 little ovals at 90 degrees each other, that means you've got the signal tuned in properly. And when you got the signal tuned in properly and it's strong enough, you will see the copy come out here on all 3 of these screens. We just decoded that guy's call sign, K1DW, got it here and got it up here too, as you can see. And the other side is identical, it's just on a different band. So
Well, we're back. I hope you found these presentations enjoyable and informative, and thank you for being a participant. Your comments, questions, and suggestions are welcome and encouraged. And please address these to info@bellavista.radioclub.org. Also, for more information on the Bella Vista Radio Club, visit our website at bellavista.radioclub.org. We invite you to be a member of the largest amateur radio club in the Northwest Arkansas region. And remember, we exist to serve the amateur radio community, and that is you. 73, and stay safe, healthy, and on the air. Good evening from W5XNA.